Hello everyone. Wanted to do a short video. Well, I say short video. I'm hoping this isn't a super long video. I'll put it like that. Kind of going over how I approach and go about the crafting events, in particular the three-eyed raven events. Um, as you can see, I have not started yet. I have gone ahead and completed the creature farming portion of it, and I've done a couple other things to kind of get ready for the video, but we'll go over those as we go along. So the first thing I always do when it comes to particularly the previous season crafting events is the first thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and do the creature farming portion. Like I said, I've already completed that, but I will show you on the map what that kind of looks like. So it's these caravans right here. So the seasons are 4 through 6 right now for the event. Um, so I'll basically farm these to at least event completion. A couple different reasons why, but the main one being is the rewards to actually get the event complete. So let me finish off this caravan. And as you can see, there are a number of different rewards for the event as I click the wrong event. Sorry, I don't know why it's so laggy today. But if you look at all the rewards, you're going to have these right here. Chest materials as well as crafting mats, stuff that you're going to need for the event. Obviously, it's not a lot. Wish it was higher as far as the rewards go, but you get what you get. So the second thing for me as I approach the event is I'm going to go and open those chests. I'm going to make sure everything is open that I need to have open for the event. So in this case, I will go down through my items and I'll go down here to the crafting material section and I'll go ahead and open all of these. Just so I have all the advanced materials out and ready for the event. And then once I have these open, the next step for me is I'm going to look at the items exchanges. Sometimes it's the crafting events, it just depends on the event. They'll have opportunities for you to change scrap in for different things, whether that be basic flux for basic mats. It could be a number of different things, but that's usually my next stop. Is I'll come down here and say right here, bam, I get basic flux for 50 of these. So I have 73K, I need 12K to complete this. So that gets me a decent amount of basic flux, and same thing here with the regular season flux. I can change 25, 250K flux for 12K, bam, done. So that's another thing I always try and make sure I have is scrap available to complete these. A lot of times, even just knocking out the basic dailies is a good way to get flux. Um, or knocking out the basic dailies just by doing poor crafting materials and then breaking them down for scrap is good to have on hand just so you have it available to exchange for these. A lot of people forget that, so that's another step I like to do during the crafting events. And then the next step, I continuously craft every single day. Um, I kind of do the pathway method, a short version of it. I don't do a full on, I'm going to sit here and craft 101 mats. Has like whenever I'm crafting, my smith is always going. I want to be able to continuously have things that are going out. Typically, I do the pathway video, which I've done before. Um, I'll start at season one, do the flax leg wraps. Um, push these up real quick. I'll pop that out, and then after the flux leg wraps, it goes to wool bandana. Same process. And during the daily, I'll push these out just like I'm doing right now. I don't wait for them. I just speed them up. Now, when I get to the point where I'm gambling on like level 15s, that's where I will start letting just the timer run. So like if I finish a crafting and it say it goes to 25 minutes go by and then it pops out a 15 and it's not a legendary. Then I start over at 1, craft the 3 that I just crafted. If nothing else, that knocks out my daily. But then I'll come back here and I will do this, and I will let this timer go. So usually as you log in throughout the day, you take a break at work, wherever, whenever you're logging in, this is where I start letting the timer go. Now, as you can see right here, another thing I like to do, so like when I am doing the full pathway method, which I started and we'll kind of go over this video a little bit, I did not, I've already done the 101, so I didn't want to waste your time doing all that. But particularly now that you can downgrade materials, I will literally upgrade everything I have for the first couple levels to orange, or I'm sorry, to yellow, just so I have them and they're good to go. Now that I can downgrade them, I don't have to worry about them. Once I complete the first, you know, uh, 1, 5, and 10 levels, uh, and as I start 15, then I'll break them all down to exquisite. So as you can see, when it comes to the steel stompers, like I said, I've already done the 101 part of the pathway for us, so that way that I'm not sitting here doing that the entire time, and I can kind of speed up through it. And this is what the breakdown I was. So, crafting, particularly when it comes to working your pathway, some days you get really lucky, some days you get really bad luck. It just depends. But when you get to the point when you start gambling at 15, you're using exquisite mats, and you get done with it, then you want to go through the process of upgrading these. Um, this typically doesn't take very long. You're basically just changing your losses or the next quality higher. In this case, I'm taking my exquisites, I'm turning them into epics, and then we'll do the same thing for legendaries. Now, after 15 is where I switch from the old pathway method. As you can see in my previous pathway video, I went the full Season 0 pathway. I've since started going Targaryen, and my reasoning being is that it has a slightly better percentage. Um, so after the 15, it used to be you'd go back to the Wool Coif on level um, 20, and I'll show you that percentage here in a second once I finish upgrading these. I will say usually each crafting event I'm spending at least one of the crafting event mat packs. I try not to go crazy with it because I try and keep to a simple budget, but that is something that I typically will say you're probably going to want and need during the crafting event, which I don't even know if it's available for me right now. It does not look like it. The only ones I have are the steel flash and then the gear combo. It's essentially, I gotta have it somewhere here. It's essentially this pack, except the $100 version of it. I typically go through at least one of those at crafting event. So the next step for me is, like I said, at that point I'm going to Targaryen. Um, like I said, the level 20, the old pathway, you go to level 20 and you go down here to Wolcoif. And if I show you, that's a 36% chance. That's not the best chance in the world for me. So a lot of times what I'll do is instead of, this is where I'll switch to Ceremonial Targaryen. And the way I filter is some of them you filter based on city development and the others you versus creature. In this case, we're going to start with the helmet. I'm going to go down here to level 20 Ceremonial Targaryen. As you can see, mats wise, it's 1200, and if you look at the wool coif, it's also 1200. So as far as the mats spent, you're basically the same. And I think the higher, I I could be wrong on this, but I think the higher level you go, the cheaper mats are for the ceremonial Targaryen. That's another reason why you might consider using them during the pathway instead. But the difference is the time. So this is an hour and 34 minutes. Where if I look at show you that wool coif, um, it's definitely a lot shorter. So as you can see, it's 47 minutes. So you are looking at a difference in time it takes to craft. So keep that in mind, that depending on if you're golding or using speed ups. I typically use speed ups where I can because I like to conserve my gold for different things like stamina. But as we go through the process, you can just continue to push out these. And this is kind of the boring part of crafting. This is the tedious And that's why I try, like I said, during the course of the normal day when there's not a crafting event, I'm using that little pathway method. So like I said, when I get to that level 15 and I gamble it, if it fails, I start back over at level 1, and then if it hits, I just continue to the next level up. Um, so sometimes you got to get lucky in a roll, but to me, it's just about building up the templates. That way you have them, they're ready to go, and that way you're not having to sit there and do the 101 full pathway method each and every single time a crafting event rolls around. So, for example, let me back out of this real quick, show you what I have. So, like, as you can see, I've been pathwaying already a little bit, but not the full pathway. That's why I have these that are sitting here. So I have one legendary 30 that we're going to roll. We're just going to see what else we can get. Like I said, you can use gold. It's just I'd rather use the um, blacksmithing speed ups for the blacksmithing. I mean, what else am I going to spend them on? Whereas gold, I can spend them on a lot of different other things. So that's kind of my reasoning behind it. I'd much rather burn through blacksmithing speed ups than gold if I can help it. Now, there are obviously times where that's just not going to be the case, and I'm going to have to use gold. It just depends on what my speed up situation and my gold situation is looking at any given time. So we'll keep going through this process. Like I said, this is the part of the process that probably takes the most amount of time. Um, and like some days you're lucky and some days you're really, really not. That's just kind of the world of crafting in Game of Thrones Conquest. Some days it's great, some days it is rough. Um, there's another thing that I was going to think about covering in during this event, but I don't really hold by it, and that is the patterning. A lot of people, when they get to a point where they're gambling, particularly with the higher ups, they'll sit there and they'll look for a pattern before they roll. I've tried it. I haven't really seen a whole lot of. There are certain days where I've seen success with it, and certain days where I haven't. Um, so it's kind of hard for me to say that it works or it doesn't work. I could, we'll probably do a separate video on that maybe someday, but at this point in time, I don't really hold by it. I'm not gonna say it's a full placebo effect. There's probably a rhyme and a reason for it. I just haven't found the major use out of it that others have. Um, so that could just be one of those things where I'm just not doing it as well as others. Um, it could be that my blacksmith has a really, really screwed up crafting pattern that I can't figure out. So we got 4 more rolls at 20. And we'll see what the breakdown is that we won from 20s. As you can see, I'm out of 15, so now I know it's time to check. So now we come back in here, we look at level 20. So these are what I have to upgrade now. So we have 17 legendaries ready to go. Go ahead and upgrade these. Come on. If you guys have questions, please make sure you leave them down in the comments below. I try and answer them, or I appreciate any feedback as well. Obviously, I've played this game for a long time. That does not make me a master of it. I'm always trying to learn new things, and there's always plenty, especially in this game, to always continue learning. So right there, we got 20. So we got 20 to try and roll to 25. So we'll go back in here, and this time I'm going to switch it up, and we're going to go to the chess piece, and we're going to go to 25. And also, if you'll notice here, there's 4, so it's a little bit even higher percentage chance for these to win. That's another reason why you might consider going Targaryen after level 15. And always make sure you have your crafting gear on. You should also have a preset already set for it, but at least make sure you have it on, and your I guess I could kind of go over what the best in slot is. So best in slot right now is Tide Lord's headpiece, ring, and boots, along with the newest set for the Frozen Stark as far as the weapon, chest, and leg. So that's kind of what's considered best in slot. Obviously, if you, I mean, you just saw my Tide Lord gear, there's a few pieces I actually need to roll up just for wearables. As far as heroes, when it comes to crafting, um, I'm using Gragas Dragar for the 48 efficiency, and Mance. Those are the two big ones that you want just for the steel crafting efficiencies that you get from them. That'll save you steel in the long run. And as you get higher in level, it gets easier to kind of get where you need to get to crafting wise, as far as the collection points. But the downside is you're going up in match and you're going up in steel cost. So having better steel crafting efficiency is something that goes quite a long way. So we'll go ahead and roll these real quick. Hopefully we get some good wins. Like I said, it's hit or miss. Some people start patterning at this point. I haven't found a whole lot of success in it. But that's another part of the reason why I did the 101. I kind of wish maybe I probably should have pushed a little higher up and only did a couple so the video wasn't quite as long. But that's something else to consider. As you go up, you're going to have less and less rolls you have to make. So it's really at the lower levels you have to spend more time. Um, but I kind of wanted to show you where we started at with the level 15s. That's why I kind of stopped there and did that before the video. And we got 7 more to go. Um, Another thing to keep in mind is, like I said, as you get to higher levels, you can roll higher. Um, I still go for the 168 first in my armory. Before I even consider trying to go for the 196 or 216. I'll show you what those kind of look like. All right, so right there we're done. So what that kind of looks like is, I actually think my last couple, I got 168, so this is kind of the standard 35 legendary along with the 25 legendary, and the rest of the pieces can be a little bit less. The 196 is going to be a 40 legendary, and as you can see, I just have fives because that doesn't really change. So even if I have like a 40 blue, it's not going to push this collection level higher. So that's why I just keep it at level fives. And then my 216 for the Night of Flower set. I'm a range main, so that's kind of a higher priority. So I made sure to try and get a 45 in there. So that's kind of how the breakdown goes, as far as what you're looking for. But the baseline, the sweet spot, if you will, is 168. So that's what you kind of want to look for. As you can see with most sets, I always get the 168 at least. Um, and if you notice, these are my favorite sets. So before an event even starts, I'll look and see what I need from the event, so to speak, to try and get that 168. Um, so for seasons 4 through 6, these are really the only 4 pieces that are going to do me a whole lot of justice, because I've already gotten what I need, at least the 168 minimum on those other sets. Obviously, I could roll up. That's another little point for me. So, for example, let's just say that we were doing a season 10 set and I wanted to look at rolling the Queen Mother set up. I would try and get another 35 legendary first before I try and roll a 40. I kind of want that safety net. Other people will risk it for the biscuit. It's kind of how you want to go about it. Um, in this case, for me, I want to kind of keep it standard and safe, so to speak. So I'm not going to do a whole lot of riskiness with my crafting. But so now we're on to the 30s, or let me actually upgrade. I forgot to do the upgrades. So we'll look at the 25s that we didn't get, and we'll upgrade those. And you're going to do the pathway enough, so even these fails that you didn't get, I don't waste money on, because like if I wanted to upgrade this further, I could spend money on the templates for it, but to me that's a lot of gold down the drain, and if you're continuously crafting anyway, you're going to have templates every now and then. So now we got 13 chances to get 30s, and then we'll go from there. In this case, we'll go to the pants. And see how lucky we get. Not lucky so far. Hopefully get a little bit more lucky. That's not what we're looking for. That's not it either. Oh, this is rough. There we go. That's what we want to see. And a lot of people, like I said, will pattern at this point. I don't hold with it. Maybe I should. Maybe I should try a little bit harder with it, but it hasn't worked for me. And the way I look at it is even a failed roll is still something I can upgrade later. Although I'd like to see a little bit more yellow. I mean, there's been times where I've hit 4 of these in a row, and there's times where I barely scrape by with a couple. It really depends. You usually can get one full pathway from one of the one of the $100 packs during a crafting event. I think that might be it. I got 2 more. So let's see if we finish strong. Yeah, a little bit. So we got 5 rolls. Actually got a little bit more than that. We're gonna have 6 rolls, it looks like. So once we upgrade these, we have 6. So now we can start looking at our 35. So at this point, now we're looking at the Armory. Like I said, these are the 4 sets I want to go for. I'm probably going to go for the Drowned Disciple first, or I'm actually going to go for Tourney Queen first, and then prioritize Drowned Disciple because I want this range defense while marching. But I'm going to probably get more boost from the Tourney Queen. And these other 2 are kind of spread out between attack and health, but it's all 3 marches. And so it's really not as good of a bonus, but it's still beneficial. So I usually just start right at the headpiece, go to 35, and see what we're looking at. So right here, I'm going to need a little bit more of the advanced mat, and this is where having the available flux comes into play. So I'll go ahead and get myself some of that. A lot of people at 35 will also start switching. It depends on where you're at crafting set wise, but some people will also switch to blue at this point. I'm keeping it exquisite until 40, but each person does it a little differently. It's kind of to each their own thing. And also, some people feel like you get better out of gold if you get better luck out of it because you're spending money. It's really however you want to look at it. Like I might get more lucky, I might not. Bam, we got our 35. So what do you know? Maybe there's something to that. The only other thing we'll need to try and get this up to 168 is going to be a 25. And a lot of times I will force roll my 25s. And by force roll, I mean I will make sure I have a full legendary roll, which I'm not sure how much I need for that, but we're going to combine a little bit more flux to get there, a little bit more flux to get there, and a little bit more flux. I could just do the million and maybe not waste as much time, but I like to be conservative as possible because you never know what I'm going to need this flux for in the future. We should be about there though. Maybe. I think I would have done this enough. I'd know exactly how much I need over here, but I haven't yet. But to stop wasting your time, there we go. So I'm going to hard roll the 25s usually, just so I can guarantee it. Some people also gamble on the 25s. I'd rather just hard roll and be done with it. And I'll also buy a template usually for it. And then once you see I got 167, so I just need to get one of these other pieces a little higher up. You can kind of, I think 40 blue will do it, so I'll probably hard roll a 40 blue. I have to downgrade my mats though. That's one of the downsides, I guess. Having the ability to downgrade and upgrade mats is also a great thing as I go the wrong way. That was one of the quality of life changes this year that helps a lot. because it used to be you'd have to sit there and you'd have to calculate, all right, this is how much I need to upgrade, otherwise I'm going to waste mats I need elsewhere. So having the ability to upgrade and downgrade was definitely a W by WB, and I might end up having to buy a second mat pack before it's all said and done because I'm low on leather straps, it looks like. But we'll see where I'm at before the end of the day. And also another thing I might consider doing is now that I've won that first roll, I'm going to have points for the event finally. And this is another thing where the basic flux can come into handy. Definitely gonna have to buy a second pack later. I might look, sometimes I'll look through here to see if I have a template that's just sitting around I'm not using, or maybe I have a double of one of these. I've had that happen before, so that's another thing to make sure you have just one of everything, because if you have two, you obviously have something that you can use to craft as a template, but in this case I don't think I do, so we'll be buying a blue one. This is another one of those things where I don't mind spending the gold on a blue to push out what I need. So we have our 40 blue, go back to that armory, pop that in, and we got our 168. And I can just leave these as they were, and that's one of the pieces for the event done. So I can unfavorite that. As you can see, right there is 21 of the 25. I'll have to burn through this food, but as you see, that's basically my approach to the crafting events. Uh, that's about all I do with it. Like I said, the biggest thing is you're probably going to have to consider, if you really are serious about crafting and trying to get your armory up, is you're going to have to go through the process of looking for that map pack. Like I said, I usually burn through at least one of those a crafting event. Um, make sure you have the best steel efficiency you can. That'll also save you gold and other things in the long run. But that's basically it. That's kind of my approach to the crafting events, as you can see. Um, that's base. That's it. So, if you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know in the comment section. Like I said, you can reach out to me on game if you want as well. Kingdom 1599, Wolf Thing 88. And until then, we'll see you on the next video.